Hey there, survivors. How's it going? I'm your host, Douglas here at Dromboy Productions, and it's currently National Clown Week. And we're going to celebrate that with another awesome Killer Clowns from Outer Space video. Now, we will not be doing a special clown-related video every single day for the entirety of Clown Week, but it just so happened that I recently found this piece right around the same time. So I picked up not one, but two animatronics from a pretty local collector who posted them up for a very, very reasonable price. Basically, about a third of what they initially costed. And with that, and being that they were brand new pieces that were released, I think, in 2021, I just really didn't want to pass on them. Especially because they were both animatronics I was interested in getting in the first place. And out of all the different Spirit animatronics that have been released thus far, Shorty has been one of the ones I've wanted the most. It is such a cool animatronic, and today we're going to be taking a full look at the entire animatronic and reviewing it. Now, we won't be doing this in today's video, but I do intend to fully repaint the head. I don't think we're going to do too much alterations to the costume. The shoes may also get a repaint, but mainly he just needs a nice touch-up on that face paint and really just his entire head. As I previously mentioned, this fellow was released through Spirit Halloween. I'm sure many of you saw them in stores, or maybe you've seen them in some of my previous videos. And I have actually come in contact with a couple of them since then that I almost purchased, but they were a lot more expensive than this one, and I just ultimately didn't do it for space reasons as well. However, since we are going to be trying to put all this stuff out there to the public in a museum setting, I felt like with all the cool Killer Clowns pieces I have, having one of these was absolutely necessary. And if I can somehow afford it, I really want to get the new Slim animatronic that's coming out this year. It looks very, very cool. But I can already tell you, personally, between the two of them, I think Shorty is better. Now, if you're getting one of these brand new in the box, they do have a very cool display box with them. Unfortunately, the collector that did have these did not have the boxes to either one, but I'm completely fine with that because I did intend to put them on display anyway. So let's go ahead and take a look at the full thing, and I guess just go over each part and review it. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the spare pieces. Shorty comes with two separate sets of arms. You can have the classic clown hands, or you can have his boxing gloves from that very iconic scene where he knocks his block off. As far as the hands themselves, the sculpt on them is not too bad. It's nothing super spectacular as far as detail-wise, but overall, just having the, full shape of the clown hands, I would say they're pretty close. The only thing that's weird about them is it seems like the back of the hand is kind of like concave. And I don't know if that's just these particular ones or if it's all of them. I honestly can't remember because it's been a while since I've seen the other copies, but these are like pushed in a little bit. Outside of that, the paint job is not great. Like, with it pretty much just being this off-white color, really next to no shading, a little bit of purple in the back of the hands, and the pink fingernails, you would think they could paint that a little bit better, but it's painted pretty poorly. Granted, these are mass manufactured pieces, so I'm sure they're producing high quantities of them very, very quickly, but as far as the arms themselves, as you can see, you pretty much have a foam pool noodle, if you will, that is on a metal frame, and then they attach to the hands. You can see the metal prongs here that would actually pin into this joint in the shoulder, and so they're very, very easy to take on and off. All you have to do is just lift it up. So when you're picking this up to transport it, you also have to be very careful about how you transport it because it's very easy for it to come apart. But of course, with a piece like this, typically you're going to set it up in one spot and leave it. It's not going to be moving around too much, except for his actual motions, which we'll take a look at after I review the full costume. As far as the boxing glove hands, there's really not too much to note. They did stitch the thumb and the hand together, so it's kind of just already in a fist, but not too much to say. It's just made of like this red pleather that's stitched together, and I believe they are stuffed with like cotton, so it's almost like a plush. The costume itself is very well made, and I would say it's actually pretty decently accurate. I'm sure there's some fine details that could be made in higher quality or something like that, but overall, as far as capturing the look, it's very, very well done. If we look at his collar here, also, nice, shiny, almost metallic blue fabric. Looks great. And then you've got these red puff balls on the end, so really no complaints there. Overall, that accomplishes the look pretty well. Now, as far as his shoes, you cannot currently see them on frame, but of course I'll give you guys a nice insert shot showing them. They are pretty much just hollow plastic clown shoes. Not a whole lot to say about them. They do have some shading, which is a little bit unnecessary in my opinion, and the sole of them is black, so not too much paint work, pretty basic, but it gets the job done. Then we get on to his head. Now, his head is actually pretty well made. It feels like it's one solid plastic piece that they've basically glued this mask onto, because it does seem like this is a latex cast mask that is then attached to this. The only real issue shape-wise is that it seems like his cheeks kind of cave in, and that's pretty common on most of the copies that I've seen. At first I thought it was actually damage, but after getting this one in person and looking at it further, I think it's just the fact that there's no support on the latex underneath, so they just kind of naturally cave in. The seam line on the ears is also a little bit rough. It's definitely noticeable, but I mean, that's just nitpicking about, you know, the molds and seaming and stuff like that. As far as the sculpture, overall, it looks pretty darn good. It's not hyper detailed, but it's not too terrible. I would say that it's definitely passable. The paint application, however, not as passable. It's not terrible, but I feel like everything could definitely be improved, especially the eyes. And due to that, like I said, we are going to give him a full repaint, touch him up, make him look a lot better. As far as the hair application, it also looks pretty darn good. As far as the hair in the back, I mean, I guess it could be a little bit longer, so it could extend out a bit more. But overall, it's not too short. It's not terrible looking, with just a little bit of brushing just to make it look a little bit nicer and neater and more uniform. I think it's going to absolutely get the job done perfectly. So I'll probably end up masking that off and just trying to repaint the head. The hair on the top as well, while it doesn't hold that shape perfect, it does it a lot better than most of the Killer Klowns masks I've seen. So I imagine with just a little bit more teasing and hair brushing and stuff like that, we can get that looking nice and proper. So that's pretty much the review on the full appearance of the thing. If you guys want to see a full unboxing and assembly of one of these, go check out my friend Nate Reagan over at Reagan Productions channel. He has one where he unboxes it and assembles it. So if you're curious as to how the inner workings look, I would say definitely go check out his channel. Because at this point, all I have left to do is plug him in, show you guys his movement, the different sound bites that he has, let you enjoy it, and that's pretty much all there is. So overall, I think this is one of the best animatronics Spirit Halloween has released thus far, at least out of all the different licensed ones. Granted, we do have some very cool ones coming this year that I have not yet seen in person. Hopefully very soon though, guys, we'll finally be able to tour a couple of Spirit Halloweens and get a good look at some of the new products and pick up some very awesome pieces. As for Shorty though, I strongly recommend it if you're a Killer Klowns fan. I think this thing is absolutely awesome. I know that Shorty is a fan favorite. The slim one also does look good, but like I said, personally, from what I've seen so far between the two of them, I think Shorty is the better animatronic between the two, and he's going to take up a lot less space. Before I go ahead and show you guys those voice lines, I also want to give a quick shout out to Shaggy the Airhead. He actually gifted me the shirt that I'm currently wearing whenever I saw them at the Three-Headed Monster tour recently, and unfortunately, today they were involved in a pretty serious wreck. He, Shaggy 2 Dope, and everyone else that's currently on that tour went a little more off-road than intended. Luckily, nobody had to be hospitalized in any major way. Nobody was lost, thankfully, but still very fucking unfortunate. So go show some love to them if you haven't seen that and haven't heard about that. And if you're watching this, Shaggy, much love yet again for the shirt, and I'm really glad you guys made it out a-okay. All right, let's go ahead and hear what Shorty has to say. I love you all, thank you for watching, and see you next time. Well, there you go. I guess he pretty much just has the two different voice lines, one of them just being laughing and carnival music, the other one also laughing, but the classic put up your dukes line. And I guess that one really wouldn't work if you had the regular hands on there. So I feel like the boxing gloves are really the only thing you can do for him. Overall, I feel like it just looks way better with the boxing gloves. Obviously, you can display them how you want. Personally, I think this is the way to go. Not too many voice lines, very limited movement. I mean, he just kind of bobs back and forth and moves his arms up and down, but Still a very, very cool animatronic, and certainly one of my favorites that Spirit has released thus far.